What is an ad server for publishers and how it actually makes you money? Two publishers can have the same traffic and the same audience but earn very different amounts of ad revenue. Not because one has better content, not because one of them shows more ads, but because one of them controls how the ads are being selected and priced and the other one doesn't. And that control comes from one thing, the ad server. Hi, I'm Sergey. I work with publishers on monetization and ad operations. And in this video, I'll explain what an ad server actually is, what role it plays in choosing which ads are shown and at what price, and when it really makes sense for a publisher to use one. Once you understand this, it becomes much clearer why some publishers earn more from the same traffic. The real problem publishers don't see. Most publishers think that monetization is simple. You put your ads on their site, advertisers pay, revenue comes in, but in reality, something much important is happening behind the scenes. Every time a page loads, a decision is made. Which ad to appear, from which advertiser, at what price, and under which rules. And for many publishers, that decision is not made by them. It's made by a platform, by an ad network, or by a default setup they have never fully configured themselves. So revenue feels random. One month is fine, the next month it drops, and no one can clearly explain why. And that's the real problem. Publishers often own the traffic, but they don't control the decision logic behind their ads. Let's be very clear about what an ad server actually is. An ad server is a system that stores ads, delivers them to your website or app, and records what happened. That's the core. That's it. It connects three things: your website or app, your advertisers, and the rules you set. When someone opens a page, the ad server receives an ad request, checks which ads are allowed to run, selects one based on your settings, shows it, and logs the results. Impressions, clicks, revenue. There's nothing magical about this, but the important part is that you control the rules. Which advertisers can run, which placements they can use, what has priority, and what price is acceptable. Without an ad server, those rules are usually decided by someone else. With an ad server, they are decided by you. Now that we've clarified what an ad server actually is, the next question is simple. Is it something every publisher should use? The honest answer is no. An ad server is not a beginner tool. If you are a very small publisher, you don't work with advertisers directly, and all your monetization comes from one ad network, and then an ad server probably won't give you much value. It requires at least some involvement. Someone needs to manage placements, advertisers, and set basic rules. Even one person is enough, but that person has to exist. Now, when does an ad server make sense? It makes sense when you have immediate placements, or you already work with advertisers or partners and you want predictable results and not random ones. Publishers usually come to an ad server when they want to set their own pricing rules, control who can advertise, separate premium placements from relevant traffic, and understand where revenue actually comes from. In short, an ad server is for publishers who want to manage their monetization themselves instead of fully delegating it to third parties. To make this less abstract, let me give you some typical examples. Many publishers use an ad server to run closed advertising environments. Only approved advertisers are allowed. Placements have fixed rules. Nothing is automatic or random. Video and streaming platforms use ad servers to control ad frequency, formats, and quality. They can't afford poor user experience. Industry and niche media use ad servers because advertisers pay for specific audiences, not for volume. They need control over who sees what. Local publishers often work directly with local businesses. They need simple geo rules, time-based campaigns, and clear reporting for advertisers. And marketplaces and platforms sometimes use an ad server only for their own promotion. They control when internal ads appear and where they don't. And in all these cases, the goal is the same: control over ads, pricing, and placement behavior. This is where the idea of an ad server becomes very practical. All of this control, which advertisers can run, which placements they can use, what has priority, and what price is acceptable, has to live somewhere. And that's exactly what the ad servers are built for. Platforms like Epom Ad Server provide one system where you manage your inventory, your advertisers, and your delivery rules in one place, instead of spreading this logic across different networks and tools. So instead of hoping that a default platform setting will give you the best result, you actively decide how your traffic is monetized and how different demand sources must compete. And that shift from default behavior to intentional control is what usually makes the biggest difference in revenue over time. Understanding what an ad server does is not just about technology. It's about taking control of how your traffic turns into revenue. Instead of relying on default setups, you decide who can advertise, where they appear, and what price makes sense for your inventory. If you want to experience this control yourself, you can try Epom Ad Server with full functionality free for 14 days and build a real setup with your own placements and demand sources. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.